Hey, I'm Ted Vieira, and back in 2011 when I first picked up Fuji X100, I was shooting it a lot. I was still doing my photo shoots with my Canon stuff, but I was going out several times a week doing street photography, and would always take the X100. I shot with it so much that I really loved that 35 millimeter focal length. It's not a wide lens for street photography by any means, but compared to a 50, it does give you more context, more setting around your subject, and I really love that. And I shot with it so much that I got really so used to seeing that way that I could envision the shot before I even put the camera to my eye, and I love that. So that's very cool. I love the lens. I love the shooting experience. But then last fall, I picked up the Fuji X-T1 with the 35 f2 lens, giving me that 50 millimeter focal range. And wow, I love that so much. And I'm shooting with that so much because I'm still in that honeymoon period with the X-T1. So I'm shooting with that lens and that camera most of the time. It's probably 80 or 90% of the time. I'll put on the 56 for photo shoots, or I might do some wide angle stuff sometimes, but most of the time it's that 35 f2 and the X-T1. And I've been shooting with it so much that I'm loving that range. I'm loving that tighter shot. It draws you in a little closer. It's a little bit more intimate. And I love that. So I've kind of been neglecting the X100T that I got just about the same time. I upgraded from the X100 to the X100T, but that camera's kind of been sitting on the desk for the most part. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to not have that X100 experience because anybody who's shot that camera, wow, you know what a different, unique experience that is with the leaf shutter and just the feel of the camera and the stealth mode that you're in when you're shooting with that camera is very cool. So I don't want to leave that behind. I want to, especially since I picked up the X100T, I want to use it. So I thought, well, I'll pick up the converter lens that Fuji makes, the TCL-X100. And what that essentially does, for anybody who doesn't know, it takes your 35 millimeter focal range and makes it a 50. So I could get that lens and have that focal length and maybe start shooting the X100T now. So I did. I picked up the TCL X100 teleconverter for the X100 series camera. And if you have a X100 or S or a T, this converter lens will fit on all three of those. So it's very cool. It does give me that 50 millimeter-ish focal range now. And, I put it on. Well, actually, let me say the first thing I noticed when I did put it on is that, obviously it makes your system a little larger. Not a lot. It's not ridiculous looking or anything like that at all, but it does weigh more now. The converter lens weighs probably about half, roughly around half the weight of your camera, the X100. Now, maybe a little bit less. So think of your X100 and a third more of the weight for your system. So if you're thinking about getting the converter lens, you might want to get like a thumb grip. Well, you will. You're going to want to get a thumb grip or a body grip, or maybe even a half case might do the job. But you're going to want that because it's going to make the extra weight on the front of this camera much easier to handle. So I put it on and I started doing some shots around the place here, and I'll show you some shots that show the difference of the focal range, not having the converter lens on and then having the converter lens on without moving the camera, where it's going to take you, and it's going to tighten that shot and give you that different focal range. And I really loved the image quality. It was really nice. I've never done a photo shoot with the X100 or X100T, but having that 50 millimeter focal length, it kind of inspires me. It motivates me to want to do like a boudoir shoot or a portrait session. So if I do that later, maybe I'll do another video where I'll show the images from that shoot. But very cool, very cool. Anyway, I thought since I had the TCL on the X100, I would compare it then to my other system, the X-T1 with the 35 f2. And I'll show some shots here of the first being of the X100 with the TCL on it, and the next shot being of the from the X-T1 with the 35 f2. And one thing I did notice, and I'll put all the images from this video over on my website and link to it down in the notes below on YouTube. But one thing I did notice, I lost a little bit of light with the converter on the camera. You know, it was significant. It was enough that I noticed. Using the same exposure settings for both cameras. Sometimes I like the darker shot. Sometimes I like the brighter shot. You know, and none of that really matters because you can always adjust your exposure at the time of your shooting. So, but it's just interesting. I just wanted to point that out. But now the real fun I had with this camera was like last Saturday. I had a couple hours right in the middle of the day, around 12 o'clock in the afternoon, harshest light I could get here in Vegas. But I just wanted to get out. I was excited. I wanted to go out and shoot with it. And the first thing I realized from the experience was like, wow, I miss shooting the X100, the X100T. It's such a unique experience. The leaf shutter, it's just cool. And another thing it really showed me is I could get really in close with people, and they don't even care what I'm doing. This camera is still so, you know, put you in that stealth mode that nobody cares, man. You know, you can just be shooting, people be walking right by me, and it didn't make a difference to them at all. So anyway, I love the teleconverter, making this a 50 now. Hopefully I'll get out and take this camera with me more often. I always take it with me, but I end up not getting, you know, taking any shots really. I miss it because I'm loving that 50mm focal length so much. I hope this, if you were thinking about getting this, this might give you some information or you know, some helpful things to think about if you're going to give it this. I'm Ted Vieira. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll try to answer anything I can. And I will see you next time. Thanks.